Well, this is a very interesting Friday morning. You get up, you check social media, and you realize Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are making their way to the Nintendo Switch. And no, it's not on the Game Boy application, but instead on the eShop, like a better version to pick up these games. But for the price, well, it's definitely a little bit interesting. But you remember how Pokemon Company said that this is going to be the greatest Pokemon Present. We thought that the greatest Pokemon Presents equaled that Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are going to be revealed there. But apparently that is not the case. The random Friday morning actually works much better. So what does this entail for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon? I think it's definitely going to be a big one, so let's get straight into it. Now, what does Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green mean for the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo Switch 2? Well, first off, it means a lot of things, and the biggest one that you might entail is Pokemon is finally ready to re-release games. And I think this is exactly what's going to happen in the Presents, since Pokemon did say that this is going to be the biggest Presents. What if they made us a schedule or a date of release of the older Pokemon games? Now sure, this is how they're going to release it. Now it's going to be about $20 per games. You might not like that, but at the end of the day, if you check anywhere else how to get these Pokemon games legitly, you will be having to pay like $300-400 for like the game itself, which is a crazy price for these beloved Pokemon games. But a better option is buying them on the eShop. I know it sucks, digital editions of games are kind of stinky. But hey, at least you can play it on your brand new Nintendo Switch 2, the original Pokemon game. But one thing that I wanted to point out, they couldn't do so much of the effort to make it so you can easily change the language once you purchased it. Nope, on the eShop you will have to go there and select manually which one you want to buy. Let's just say you speak French and you speak English. Well, looks like you're going to have to buy the game twice if you want to play in both languages. Because honestly, I like playing Pokemon games in two different languages. A lot of times I will play a first playthrough if the game is really good in English, and then move over to French to have that fresh experience with a fresh set of text, if you know what I mean. But overall, this is really kind of unfortunate. Why in the world would Pokemon do this? Is it because the game was originally like that? All they have to do is port it over to the Switch and say, good luck guys, have fun with that. But overall, I think this is definitely going to be the start of something brand new. We always thought for the longest time that this is never going to happen. We're not going to be seeing Fire Red, Leaf Green. We're not going to be seeing Heart Gold, Soul Silver. We're not going to see all these Pokemon games. But during the Pokemon Presents, Pokemon could easily announce something that maybe Fire Red and Leaf Green is going to come out this month for $30 or something. And then the next month, we're going to be seeing Heart Gold and Soul Silver, something like that. All the remasters could make a return. And I think that this is definitely great in so many different ways. I honestly hope for the future of Pokemon games to return on the Nintendo Switch 2, so you get a chance to play all the original Pokemon games. Right now, you can play Generation 1. You can play Generation 2 on the Nintendo Switch, 3, 4, 5, you can play 4. But the point is, if you wanted to have the complete story, even though Pokemon games are usually not linked in any way, shape, or form, but let's just say they are for a moment. If you wanted to play the complete story, you gotta go and get yourself a DS, and you gotta get yourself a Game Boy, and a whole bunch of things to play all these Pokemon games. So if they were on the Nintendo Switch, that would be fantastic. That would be the greatest experience ever, and this could actually entail this is what the Pokemon Presents is. Because I find it really strange, really interesting, that they would announce this 1 week before the Pokemon Presents, and then say, hey guys, it's releasing on Pokemon Day, so have fun. Wouldn't it make sense if they released Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on Pokemon Day and saying this will come out later on the eShop? Or do they want to get everybody super excited for Pokemon Day 1 week in advance? That could be it. But overall, this definitely means something big, and I'm really excited for Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green to be making their way to the platform, even though they are $30, the price of a Nintendo Switch 2 edition here in Canada, which definitely is a very interesting move here. If you really think about it, You buy 3 Pokemon games. You buy Fire Red, you buy Leaf Green, and you buy another one, let's say Silver comes out or something like that. Those 3 Pokemon games are the price of a brand new game. Oh my goodness. Things have definitely gotten crazy here. But overall, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the Pokemon 30th Anniversary Presents is going to be bigger than we imply? Generation 10? Probably going to be there. Of course, we saw Fire and Leaf Green, but does that mean that we're going to be seeing a reveal of another Pokemon game, maybe for the next month, and the next month, and the next month? I honestly think the old games are coming back, and this is great, because why would Pokemon just release Fire Red and Leaf Green and not release any of the other games? That doesn't make too much sense to me. If they wanted to release Fire Red and Leaf Green, maybe it's just to say, hey, it's the 30th anniversary of Pokemon Celebration, but that's not even where it all started off. If you wanted to point it in that direction, well then, it all started off with Pokemon Red and Blue, or should we say Red and Green, in Japan, of course. So, if they wanted to do this doesn't make too much sense, but hey, I could be drawing too much attention into this at the end of the day. Pokemon is definitely a really strange company that likes to, you want to say overcharge for their games? I don't know. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Consider what I said as a little secret here. Maybe it's going to happen. Maybe it's not going to happen. Who knows? Just judging off the leaks and rumors, it seems like we could be getting Pokemon Black at some point. Like a remaster like we saw with the chibi art style for Pokemon Generation 4. But also, it seems like we could be getting a number of different Pokemon games. I hope to see the return of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Those are my favorite Pokemon games. And maybe this is what it is. The Pokemon Collection actually could come out on Pokemon Day. So let's just say it's the Pokemon Collection with the actual physical cartridge. That includes Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. That includes Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. They'll have separate cartridges for the both versions of the game. And then you have the original games. And then you have like just Black and White if they're not doing a remaster. But you have, let's just say, the first 3 generations of games and the remaster, and then they get ported over to the cartridge, depending if you want this cartridge, depending if you want this cartridge. Well, then there'll be both different variants of that. I think that this definitely could happen now, because this is definitely really weird. You wake up on Friday morning, you realize, nothing's really going on. All of a sudden, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green is coming out. You really think that it's something different here. You think that it could be a troll, or it's not even Pokemon Day. Very, very interesting. So, overall, thank you so much. Hope you have a fantastic day, and Pokemon away! That's right, Pokemon away.